Hello Wolfpack, we're back here on Bitcoin today. We've got a new bit background here today, a new place I'm in right now, just a temporary thing. I will be back to the black background soon, but without further ado, let's get back into Bitcoin because we weren't here yesterday. We missed out on a lot of the price action. And Bitcoin yesterday actually jumped upwards towards the 200-week SMA, right? It came upwards, and that was actually 2 days ago, but yesterday I was lurking in that region, and we saw on Mega Well Crypto's YouTube channel, if you don't follow him, give him a follow. He's a close friend and analyst of mine. We were lurking around that region there. We formed a bearish pennant formation, which I haven't drawn on the charts, but we eventually saw a breakdown to the downside, and so that pennant formation actually didn't result in any bullish price action, obviously, because it's a bearish pennant. But I already had on my charts this uptrending line from the 6th of July. We've broken that to the downside, and so that's all we really needed to know. And now Bitcoin is clearly heading to the next support zone, which is actually formed from its prior triangle formation, right? The next support zone will be at around 20K, which is very interesting because CPI is coming in about 48 hours. In about 2 days, there will be the CPI release. And seeing as we're coming to 20K on Bitcoin, and we've got that support zone very close. And on Ethereum, we've got the same thing. We've got a support zone very close here on Ethereum at around 1,100, which is about 50 USD from where we are right now. We can expect that Bitcoin will very likely be at 20K when the CPI comes out, and Ethereum will very likely be at 1,100 when the CPI comes out. And so what we can expect now is not very much to happen in terms of the short-term price action in the next, 24 to 48 hours until CPI. I think what we'll see and what we generally see is a bit of sideways price action until that CPI comes out. And this is really shown by the volume profile on the 4-hourly chart, right? The volume profile covering this entire range from 23.8K to 17.5K, which is the range we're in right now, is suggesting that we have a thick area of support between 20K and 21K. And so I would not expect anything dramatic to happen until that CPI release comes out. A lot of people like to sit on their hands between CPI and when it's like 2 days from CPI. And so, well, what is CPI? Just a quick explanation. I'm not going to go into it too much. You guys should probably know this by now. CPI is the inflation numbers. And so inflation is currently at 8.6% year on year in the United States. If CPI comes in higher than 8.6% in 2 days, that would be an indication that the market will continue downwards, because it will be an indication that traditional markets are not done correcting yet, because traditional markets only generally bottom out when inflation tops out, right? It's just how it works. But if CPI comes in at less than 8.6%, that could be a sign that the markets are starting to reverse, and it could be a bullish indicator for Bitcoin. What do I think is going to happen? I'm not going to try and guess. I'm not an economist, but I can tell you right now that it seems unlikely that it will come in lower. But look, let's just wait and see what happens. I heard some people talk about oil prices and how that's a reason for it to come in lower. Look, I don't know too much about how to predict CPI, but I do know a lot about Bitcoin chart. And I can say that Bitcoin will likely be at around 20K when that CPI releases, and Ethereum will likely be at 1,100. And so what is the situation right now? Well, the situation is you probably shouldn't be trading too heavily right now, right? I think the breakdown we had in the last 24 hours was probably the last chance for you to be trading. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that you should step away from the charts for the next 48 hours until CPI comes out, because I can tell you that when we generally see CPI come out, and if it is higher, we see very, very, very high volatility. And volatility that's not exactly rational. I mean, we've seen on multiple occasions here, this is not a one-off, we've seen on multiple occasions Bitcoin pump up before CPI and then dump down massively after CPI. It's completely unpredictable. The TA doesn't really have much to say about it. And so I would suggest just stepping away from the markets for the next 48 hours. Not for the markets, but stepping away from trading. And that's probably the best way you can go about this. But going into that 20K support, yeah, we can see we've also got an RSI uptrending line, and the RSI uptrending line will match that 20K support. And so, yeah, I do think 20K will be the place in which we see that CPI release. But yeah, we've seen a rejection from the 200-week SMA. We're coming back down to support as triggered by the volume profile at 20K and as triggered by this downtrending triangle. And it seems pretty clear that we'll be at 20K when CPI releases. And so, well, we just need to wait and see what happens, really. But looking at the macro time frame, we've got this uptrending line, and this is what makes it really interesting. And this is really what I want to focus on Bitcoin and focus in on, get you guys to focus in on, is because we've got the 200-week SMA, the green line, the 200-week moving average, right? That is the macro bottom indicator for Bitcoin, or at least it was. It not necessarily is anymore. Since 2015, that is called the macro bottom on every single occasion. We've seen 15 months of price action on the 200-week SMA. We've never, except for like 2 weeks ago, seen 2 weekly closes below it. So it was a very, very, very strong support. And when something is a very, very strong support, you generally see it turn into a very, very strong resistance. And guess what? We're seeing it turn into a very strong resistance. I mean, I just zoomed up on the 4-hourly chart. I told you we rejected off of it there. You can see the weekly chart, we're lurking under it. But the interesting thing about it is that we're actually compressing between the uptrending macro support line, which is this yellow line, okay, retested in 2015, 2020, and now, which is obviously a clear support line, and the 200-week SMA. We're seeing compression, and that compression can only last for so long, because guess what? The 200-week SMA will trend sideways into that macro support line, and eventually, Bitcoin will have to make a decision, either up or down. And that is where it gets really intriguing. If Bitcoin was to move down, I've talked about this in the past, I would expect it to move anywhere between, let me get my rectangle out, I would expect it to move anywhere between 13.5K and 11.5K. That is where I think Bitcoin will go if it moves downwards. And if it moves upwards, well, we just need to break 28.6K, which is actually this red resistance box here. So look, regardless of what happens in the short term, all you need to do really is take a macro view and understand that we're seeing compression between the 200 and the macro support line. Whichever way that compression breaks, that's how you know whether Bitcoin has either bottomed out or where Bitcoin has, lower to go. And I think that's how I'm going to define a trend reversal from now on. And this is a bit of a change in my opinion here, right? A lot of people think my definition of a trend reversal will be breaking the 50-week SMA, which is this red line here. And I think although that is definitely a major resistance line that we do need to be breaking at some point, I think a trend reversal would come, and I think it would be enough to confirm a trend reversal if we were to see, say, I don't know, a couple of weekly candle closes, strong weekly candle closes above the 200-week SMA. Hence, we would have held the macro support and we would have gotten above our prior macro support at the 200-week. That would be a very strong indication that the bottom might be in. But again, guys, I think the 4-year cycle is correct. I'm a very big believer in the 4-year cycle. And the 4-year cycle is a date range trend that's played out for the entire price history of Bitcoin since the first halving. And I think that this date range trend, according to my calculations, does point to a bottom in Q4, right? It points to a Q4 bottom. And so, a Q4 bottom, that's looking at, 2.5 months at least away. And so 2.5 months, you could say it's a long period of time. It's really not a long period of time in crypto. I mean, if we go back to the macro chart, October's only here. So it's actually not really far away. And what we can notice is that if we extend that macro drawing, so let's extend the 200-week SMA to around October, we can see that the compression will be getting very, very, very tight by then. And if we haven't made a decision by then, we will need to, and we'll either need to drop down or we'll need to do something like this. But another scenario that I haven't covered too much is we could actually just hold this line and just trend and just trend and trend, and then see a wick downwards and then come back up. And that could count as a Q4 bottom. So, people who say, oh, we have to go to 12 to 14K. It's like, well, we don't have to. We could actually just trend sideways for 2.5 months here and then see a big wick to the downside and then start going upwards. We don't have to go to 12 to 14K and extend a price action around there. I think it's likely we do that, but it's not like a necessity, right? So people say all the time, it's like, well, Wolf thinks we're going to go to 12 to 14K. It's like, well, predominantly, I think we're going to bottom in Q4. I've been very clear in the past that I'm not certain at all in the slightest where Bitcoin will bottom in terms of price action. I've said I'm pretty confident where it's going to bottom in terms of date ranges. So just keep that in mind. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say 12 to 14K. Just trying to make that very clear because people love to misquote me on that one. And whether it's accidental or not, it still does damage my reputation. And so that's the situation for Bitcoin, compressing between the 200-week SMA and the macro uptrending support line. We're seeing, this support at 20K, Ethereum seeing support at 1,100, and we've just got to wait and see what happens with the CPI. I'm very excited to see what happens with it. Tomorrow, I might be doing a short-term analysis price action just to see how that 20K support is holding and how 1,100 is holding on Ethereum as well. And we'll see what happens there. So before I end the video, I want to get into a few things. The first thing I want to get into is Wolves Crypto VIP. Wolves Crypto VIP, you can go to my YouTube channel, click the join button. We've got about 200 VIP members. And you can become one of them for just 28 USD a month, less than $1 a day. And you can get access to an altcoin trading signal every second day, prioritized reply to comments from me, a 2-hour video on market psychology that is not released to the regular viewers, and occasional access to my trading view charts when I see it necessary, right? I used to say weekly. I realized that my charts don't really change weekly when we're seeing sideways consolidation. So I'm just saying occasion now. But that's just a little sub element. The main part obviously is the trading signals, and the prioritized reply to comments and the 2-hour video market psychology. Moving forward, moving forward, sorry if I can speak English. BitGet. The BitGet exchange is the exchange we use on Wolves of Crypto V.I.P. And so that's what we use to trade on V.I.P. We use Binance for spot, we use BitGet for futures. I know a lot of members use BitGet for spot. I've actually started using BitGet for spot as well. But BitGet, why do I use it? Well, non-KYC, half the fees of Binance, rewards center that gives you access to up to $4,000 in rewards for completing some tasks. Not some tasks, obviously it's not as easy as it sounds, but it is $4,000 for free. On a technical basis, you just have to put in a lot of time. And that's pretty interesting as well. And so we've got copy trading. We've got all you need in an exchange for half the fees of Binance and non-KYC. You're not going to get much better than that. Sign up to BitGet using my referral link in the description below to show some support for the channel and gain access to the rewards program. Moving forward as well, we've got the Crypto Academy, Become a Trader course. This is a course developed by myself and the analyst I mentioned earlier in this video, Mega Crypto. We developed this course at the start of 2022. I think in Q1 and Q2 we were developing this course. Finished it in May, and we've just released it onto the market about 2.5 months ago. We've got over 100 students in this course, and I'm glad to say that it's going excellently. Unit 1, Fundamental Cryptocurrency Concepts, all the way through to Unit 10, Advanced Risk Management and How to Find a Trade. And in between, we've got Technical Analysis, we've got Market Psychology, we've got everything you need to know about crypto and money and fiat. But mainly, this is a TA course teaching you how to become a competent trader. If you're interested in that kind of thing, go to the website, click on the email link here, send us an email at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com, and we'll send you back a pamphlet of what the course actually is, what it looks like, and a video explaining what the course looks like by going through some of the content. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.